All righty. Hello, everyone. I would just like to introduce myself. My name is Michael Llewellyn. I am the county chair for the Imperial County Democratic Party. Firstly, I would like, thank you. Firstly, I would like to thank everyone for joining the first candidate forum for the Assembly District 36 race. I cannot express how much joy this brings me seeing all the individuals from our diverse communities and candidates on the stage today. For the first time in over 10 years, we'll be electing a new member of the State Assembly to act as our voice in the state capitol. A lot of amazing things have happened to our district over the course of this last decade, but there is still so much room for improvement. Earlier this year, Governor Newsom traveled to the county and declared our region one of the most impoverished in the nation, uplifting our community through education, highlighting the importance of voting, and ensuring that everyone's voice is heard in Sacramento is of the utmost importance. The Secretary of State of the state of California, Ms. Shirley Weber, also came to the county. She said that there are 58 counties in the state of California, and Imperial County is 58 out of 58 when it comes to voter turnout, civic engagement, and voter registration. It is through the work of these amazing candidates, our progressive organizers, and our members of our community who continue to work towards a more prosperous tomorrow. So once again, I would like to thank everyone in the audience, the prestige venue, as well as the candidates who are participating on stage tonight. I look forward to hearing from you all, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Imperial County Democrats, for the invitation to moderate tonight's candidate forum. My name is Stella Jimenez. I am the District Director for Congressman Dr. Raul Ruiz, and honored to serve the communities of the 25th Congressional District. Tonight's forum will be 2 hours in length and will provide each candidate an opportunity to introduce themselves and answer questions provided by the Imperial County Democrats. It is our hope that this forum allows each candidate time to voice their positions and reasons for pursuing the Assembly seat, while giving the public an opportunity to hear the candidates respond to questions. Tonight's process will be conducted as follows. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes to introduce themselves and share information they feel the community should know about their candidacy. During the question and answer portion of the forum, each candidate will be asked the same question and will have 3 minutes to respond. In instances where a candidate is referenced directly or indirectly in another candidate's response, a 30-second rebuttal period may be granted at the direction of the moderator. Following the Q&A, candidates will have the opportunity to make a 2-minute closing statement. Candidates, if there is a question you were not asked but feel strongly about, please make sure you take notes and consider including those in your closing remarks. Time will be kept by Mr. Michael Llewellyn, as you will notice the timer on the monitor in the center front row. We ask that you please adhere to the time allotted. During the answer session, I will alternate who answers first from question to question among the candidates. This will ensure impartiality and fairness. As a reminder to the audience, questions were distributed to the candidates prior to this evening's event, all but one. Before I introduce the candidates, this is a reminder to please silence your cell phones. All participants are expected to engage in a civil manner. Personal attacks, slanderous remarks, and any comments that compromise an individual's privacy are strictly prohibited. The chairman, in conjunction with the moderator, will oversee adherence of these guidelines to ensure a constructive and orderly forum. Additionally, we ask that you please hold your applause and refrain from any audible reactions during candidates' responses to allow candidates the opportunity to be heard. At this time, I would like to introduce the candidates seated on the stage from left to right. Your left to right. Wayman Furman, Council Member for the City of Indio. Edgar Garcia, Council Member for the City of El Centro. Tomas Oliva, Council Member for the City of El Centro. Eric Rodriguez, Board of Trustees for Central Union High School District. And Mr. Joey Acuna Jr., Board of Trustees for Coachella Valley Unified School District. Are there any questions from the candidates before we begin the opening statements? Hearing none, let's get started. When I call your name, you will have 2 minutes to make your opening remarks. The timer will begin once each candidate begins speaking. Starting from left to right, Mr. Wayman Furman.
Thank you and good evening. First of all, I want to extend my gratitude to the Fair County Democratic Party for inviting us for this forum. This is very important. This is a very pivotal moment in the City District 36's time. Also want to extend gratitude to the fellows sitting next to me. It's a sacrifice and it takes a lot to step up for your community and represent your community. So I applaud you. But I want to share a little bit about myself. I'm born and raised in the city of Indio. I served as mayor in Indio, California. I'm the first African-American mayor in Indio, California. I've been on city council in Indio for 5 years. I started my law enforcement career on the 29 Palms Band Mission Indian tribe, public safety. I then went on to California Department of Corrections, where I served at Calipatria State Prison for the last 22 years, where I'm currently still employed. So I have a heart for Imperial County. I understand the rich history of Imperial County. I envy the togetherness in the community, but I also understand the challenges and where we need to go, where we need to move forward in the City District 36. If you really want to know about me, take time and listen to what I say and fact check what I say. I serve on many committees. I serve on the Indio Water Authority. I serve as chair for the Coachella Valley Association of Government Public Safety Committee. I serve on the Homelessness Committee. I also serve on the Riverside County Transportation Committee. And those things mean a lot to me. We need to work on infrastructure in Assembly District 36. We need to work on public safety. We need to work on homelessness. We need to usher in Lithium Valley with Imperial County in mind. So I urge you to listen to what I say and fact check what I say. And this is an important race, and I thank you all for being here. And that will conclude my intro, Mr. Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Furman. Mr. Garcia.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone, and good evening. Thank you for being here tonight. I'd like to also extend my gratitude to the Imperial County Democrats, as well as to all of the candidates up here on the dais for putting their time and their effort to try to make a difference in their community. My name is Edgar Garcia. I have served in the El Centro City Council for 8 years. I'm entering my 9th year. During that time, I've been proud to serve as mayor, and I'm currently serving as mayor pro tem. I'm running to be your next assemblyman in order to continue with the work that I've done in the city of El Centro. I've always been focused on capital improvement, on infrastructure, on our healthcare, on public safety, on making sure that our children have access to education, and to make sure that we deal with the community issues that affect all of our quality of life. We are at a very unique opportunity in history right now. We have built so much momentum in this district. We have AB 918 that recently passed. We have the Imperial Valley Healthcare District that we need to nurture and see go forward to build sustainable health that will help us prosper into the future and ensure that we all have access to this sustainable health care. Further, we have Lithium Valley community. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity that will have impacts for generations to come. This is something also key to my heart. And my background is in science. I have a degree in organic chemistry from UCSB. So I have worked in the industry before. I've worked in engineering. And I have the unique skill set to allow this county to be represented and well advocated for in Sacramento when it comes to lithium valley. Because it's not a matter of just our resources, but also investing in the community so we can have more infrastructure and we can actually have better industry here to affect all of our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Mr. Oliva?
Ms. Jimenez. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, to be able to speak as to why I'm running to be your next assembly member in Sacramento. As mentioned, my name is Tomas Oliva. I'm a council member from the city of El Centro. I just completed my 5th year on the city council, and being on the city council has been the honor of my life. We have built a network of affordable housing that I think is greater than any other city combined in Imperial County. Right? We've addressed transit services, transportation infrastructure, and part of being on the city council has allowed me to also serve on the hospital board, which in the last 2 years, we have been able to redirect the future of healthcare here in Imperial County, which is for the betterment of every resident in Imperial County. I think that, as mentioned, this is a pivotal moment in Imperial County because the next assembly member could potentially hold the seat for 12 years, and it's going to determine the future quality of life, right, the economic opportunity, the workforce development for the residents of this community. And so it is a pleasure to be here to be able to speak on behalf of the platform and the projects and the plans that I have, should I be given the opportunity to represent you. And so with that, I just want to take one last opportunity to say thank you to the Imperial County Democratic Central Committee, Chairman, moderator for this opportunity, and I look forward to the discussion with the colleagues up here on tonight's.
Thank you, Mr. Oliva. Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, thank you.
Eric Rodriguez, born and raised Raleigh, California. Raleigh folks. I currently serve with the Central Union High School District Board. Been there for 3 years. I'm also appointed to the IDROP Board as well as the IDROP Community Foundation Board, where I'm able to help a lot of our at-risk children implement policies, assist our young adults in finding educations and careers. I'm also my education. Education is, I have a bachelor's degree in religious studies. My current employment is with the County of Imperial Child Protective Services. Previously, before that, I was with the Central PD. I started as a police officer. I left that position because I wanted to help children. So that's where I'm at with CPS. And with CPS, I help families from Thermal to our community members in Winter Haven, our tribal members. I've been up and down this county, and I've seen, and I am aware of the generational issues that our community face. Some of the things that I've seen our community members struggle through is founded under lack of attention, lack of policy, lack of respect for our community. That's why I'm here. I'm just a regular dude here trying to make a difference in my community. And it upsets me of what I see. This heart is broken multiple times from some of the things that I've seen our community members struggle with, our middle class. I'm of the middle class, struggling. Post-traumatic stress and some of the things, post-traumatic stress from some of the things that I've seen our community members go through. I'm here for them. I'm here for them. I'm here to speak up for them. I'm here to implement policies that are beneficial to our community as a whole. Policies that are beneficial to our children. They are our future.
Your time is up, Mr. Rodriguez. Thank you. Mr. Acuna Jr.?
Good evening, everyone.
There you go. Well, good evening, everyone, and first of all, let me thank you all for being here. I know you could be home with your families during the holiday time, so I want to truly appreciate you coming out and being part of the democratic process. Also, thank the Democratic Party from Imperial County. Some days it's a struggle, I know, and working the Riverside part of it as well. But you guys are doing a great job, and keep up the great work. Again, my name is Joey Acuña Jr. I hail from the city of Coachella. Was born and raised there. Went through the system there, as they say. I am currently a development manager for Intercare. I still have a problem saying Intercare all the time. Where we do a lot of outreach, enrollment, and education in the community. I kind of do the reporting. I do a lot of the data for the promotoras who actually do the hard work on the ground, going out, making sure that people have insurance. I also consult for one of the local tribes in the Coachella Valley. I do a lot of economic development, infrastructure, and grants for them. So I've had a lot of experience also working with the federal government in different kind of capacities, the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And again, as was mentioned earlier, I'm currently on my technically fifth term on the Coachella Valley Unified School District Board of Trustees. I was there originally back in 1992 to 2000, and then I was reelected in 2014. Look, I'm running for this seat because I believe I have the experience, the qualities, the knowledge, and the capacity to work with others as what has to be done. Imperial County, like all California, is going to be hit with probably some hard things coming up. And I believe working together, we can all get that accomplished. So I'm here to listen to you more than hopefully you're here to listen to me. So thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Now we will proceed with the question and answer portion of the forum. We want to remind each of you that you will be asked the same question. And as we move through the evening, we will alternate the candidates that will be responding first to each question and answer session. The timer will begin once the candidate begins speaking, and each candidate will be allotted 3 minutes to respond. The first question, we will start with Mr. Furman. I'd like to note that this is the one question that was not given to the candidates in advance. As a Democratic candidate, how do you plan to embody and advance the core values and policies of the Democratic Party in Imperial County? Considering the party's national focus on areas such as climate action, healthcare action, social justice, and economic equality, how will these priorities shape your policy decisions and initiatives specifically for our community? Moreover, would you provide specific examples of how you have demonstrated these democratic principles in your current, past work, or plans for the future? Mr. Furman?
Thank you. I think one of the most important things is to collaborate with the community. You have to understand what this community wants, and that's how you start performing decisions. Other part of it is you have to collaborate with your other local elected officials, such as your board supervisor, your council members, your school board members, and all the way into your communities. And that's how you start to range and make decisions in your community and start to form policy. In the city of Indio, during some of our troubling times, such as the George Floyd uprisings, I worked with Congressman Raul Ruiz and our African American community and our law enforcement community to bridge those gaps of understanding, so we can understand where the divide is and how can we make a change to bring people together. And I think being diplomatic and democratic in that process really pushed forward a positive influence in our Coachella Valley. Also, I believe in inclusion. If you look at the city of Indio and our logo, it has different colors. I believe in empowering people of color. I believe in empowering women. I believe in empowering the LGBTQ community, because I come from a marginalized community. I understand what it's like to be marginalized. So I think those core values of the Democratic Party are very important. Also, women's rights. You know, I come from a single mother family, where we were boxed in a lot of the time because she didn't have those opportunities and resources. I want to provide those opportunities and resources for some of our single families. In the city of Indio, we've been able the last 2 years to have more than over 1,000 affordable housing units in planning or being constructed right now. We have over 500 in construction right now. And that is to support our families in the city of Indio, our working class families. And I hope to bring that same blueprint to the Imperial County. And we keep dividing counties. I don't believe in dividing the county because I spent over 22 years here in the Imperial County, so my heart lies here. So I hope to bring those same values and blueprint to this county as well.
Mr. Garcia?
Well, I think that's a very good question. I think number one, when it comes to democratic principles that we should be focused on, it's finding solutions that affect our most disenfranchised residents. Whether it be, children that are unable to enjoy extracurriculars because it's not in the family's budget, whether it be building infrastructure and green spaces like libraries and parks that they can enjoy and have somewhere to go on their off time, to get them on the right track and make sure that we all assist our underprivileged youth. And also, of course, when it comes to healthcare. I mean, how important is it to make sure that every single one of us has access to sustainable healthcare? These are the principles that have molded my policymaking decision with the city of Los Angeles, and I've had a great opportunity to work with wonderful colleagues that share that same vision. And we have brought about some increasing change in the city, from our new library to our parks and recreation to being able, for the first time, to actually sponsor sports teams for youth that without that sponsorship wouldn't have the opportunity to play. So it's something that I have instilled in my family and my children. I come from a single mother. I grew up in one-bedroom apartments. I was members of those recreational leagues and visited those libraries built by government. And that has kind of shaped everything that I am. And I have had the great opportunity through education to be an advocate for my community, for my residents, and for my clients as a practicing attorney of over 14 years. So it's something that I see day in and day out, how government policies and legislation affect families on a day-to-day basis. So it's something that sits at my core. It's something that allows me to advocate and to get up every morning and think about these problems and try to make reasonable solutions that will have impacts on our residents, whether they be children, whether they be, middle class Americans who are just working to survive and provide for their family, or whether there be our seniors that also need attention in the later years of their life. But it's something that I've been focused on, and I think that the work that we've done in the city and my policies there, and with the help of my colleagues, of course, I think it's something that has shown in my career. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. As a reminder, candidates have 3 minutes to answer these questions. Mr. Oliva?
Thank you for that. So I have been a lifelong Democrat here in Imperial County. And I have never wavered from those principles, and even in the past have also chaired the Imperial County Democratic Central Committee many years ago. And one of the struggles that the Democratic Party at least here faces is a lack of civic engagement and political engagement. There needs to be a better effort in being able to inform the general public of the issues that are before them, the candidates that are asking for your vote and your support. But very importantly is for the residents to realize that they have an ability to vote by mail, right? To remind them when the election day is, when ballots come in, because that is going to encourage them to participate. Over the last several years, we have made strides. Remember the time where your ballot wouldn't get delivered because you didn't put enough stamps on the envelope? Those policies were changed statewide to allow for everyone to vote to count, right? And everyone's voice to be heard. And so I think it starts with us. It starts with us as candidates and as office holders to be people with a good moral compass, to have integrity, to be able to show you, right, what we expect of our community to be the best version of ourselves as we ask you for support, as we ask you to support the ideas and the projects and the policies that we would set forward, and for you to trust in that these policies and plans really are in your best interest, right? So Imperial County is diverse in that sense. There are geographical differences here in Imperial County that feel that they have not been heard or they have been forgotten over the years. And most of those communities are the outlying communities. Communities like Winter Haven, communities like Nyland, Bombay Beach, who are still struggling in terms of infrastructure, that are still struggling in terms of air quality, right? And so it is important for our next assembly member to advocate and include those communities in terms of funding policies and projects, right? I think one of the most difficult things that a candidate or an office holder has to deal with is standing up for issues and taking a stance and a position when it's unpopular. It's the hardest thing to see an elected official say, that is wrong, even though it is the right thing to do. And so I think that in order to promote the democratic values, it is to look for a candidate that is going to stand up for the right thing, whether it benefits them or not.
Mr. Rodriguez?
2016. So one thing you guys are gonna get from me is you're not gonna get love, you're gonna get me. This is me. All right, so 2016, I filed as a non-party preference. Why? Because the Democratic Party at that time supported a presidential candidate that had a federal investigation. Right? I can't get a job with a local investigation. I don't know if our DA's here. He was not gonna hire me. I have to have a DA investigation. I did not support that. I did not support that candidate. So I removed my Democratic status to non-party preference. And I essentially, from that point on, in my adulthood and my politics was, I support the best candidate. Best candidate. That's who I support. So when I filed for state assembly, I filed as a Democrat. Why? Because I proved Democratic policy works. Single dad with nothing. Single dad with nothing. I utilized public service to get me back on my feet, to get me and my $3 back on my feet. That's from Democratic policy. And that's the policy and influence you're gonna see that I'm gonna support, advocate, and implement. You're gonna see that. And I'm very transparent. Visit my webpage. You can see that I'm very transparent. And everything that I stand on is Democratic policy. That concludes my answer.
Well, I think the issue of democratic values are pretty easy for me because they're the same values that my parents taught me right now. You know, be kind to everyone. Everybody needs to be treated equally. My dad was a union man from the Laborers Local 1184 over in Shell Valley. My mom was a housekeeper. Worked with some pretty rich people. It always reminded me that they're the same as us. They have a little bit more money, but they're the same as us. And so those values have transcended everything that I've done. You know? Now that's not to say that me and my mom and my dad didn't have our disagreements growing up, as we all do with our parents. But I think those values that they instilled carried over to my work. Some of my earliest advocacy was environmental, actually fighting a big mine, a trash dump mine that they wanted to do up in Eagle Mountain. We opposed. Myself and a bunch of scraggly bunch of guys and ladies got together, and they say you'll never defeat a $1 billion industry, and we defeated it. And again, I didn't do it. We did it. It was united. That's what we get. The Democratic Party. When we're united, that's how we win. When we're divided, that's when we lose. That's when we start to fall apart. So that value of putting everybody back together, that is something that I've always done. I've endorsed candidates, Democratic candidates, from all genders, from all sides, it doesn't matter. Again, we try to go for the best candidate that's available at the time. But at the end of the day, there's usually a choice. You have to pick one or the other. So the person that I'm 99% with, probably the person that's gonna get my support. But to the issues out here, again, education, healthcare for me, and infrastructure are the three main issues, because everything goes through that. Education in our school district, again, I did not do this, we did, my colleagues were brave enough, we went from a punitive system of discipline, and we went to a restorative justice system. Now, many people in our communities, especially our parents, applauded that, but not everybody. So we got to push back from people, but we did it anyway, right? Long before the state mandated anything, our district, my colleagues and I, we supported the ethnic studies program, made it mandatory for graduation. Again, wasn't very popular in some areas, we did it anyway. We started moving in that direction. But again, I was only able to do those things with the help of my colleagues, building those bridges, not burning them down, right? Too much in society today, you see this all the time. Everybody wins by destroying the other person. That's not how you get anything accomplished. Imperial County has a lot of issues, serious issues. I think our current assembly member, who has fully endorsed me and supported me, has done a great job starting those, and my job will be to continue that in the next administration and make sure that Imperial County is not forgotten anywhere in Imperial County.
Thank you. Our second question, we will begin with Mr. Garcia. As a representative, being actively involved and visible in our district is key to truly understand and addressing our community's needs. Can you share your plans for regularly engaging with Imperial County residents? How will you ensure that these interactions are not just symbolic, but led to tangible actions? Moreover, what measures will you put in place to allow constituents to hold you accountable for your presence and responsiveness in our community? Mr. Garcia?
Well, I think there's multiple layers to that question. I think first and foremost, the job of any elected official is to be as transparent as possible with the community that he's asking for their support to serve them and advocate on their behalf. So I think that it goes without saying that if elected to be the assembly member, I would have a base office in Imperial County and one in Coachella Valley as well, in order to hear from the residents regarding the challenges and the opportunities that are going to be coming down the pipeline that will affect the entirety of our district. I think it's also important to have open communication with our public safety in order to discuss things such as emergency preparedness. We've had a couple incidents where we had weather anomalies that came through this county, and we needed to be able to organize with our first responders in order to make sure that we were as prepared as possible to serve the needs of our community. Furthermore, I think it's important that we have meetings with our elected officials, both at the city level, the state level, the county level, and the utility level as well. That's also important in order to see what the challenges and what the issues are that are currently affecting the community. But ultimately, I think that having this information available through social media and as well through other avenues of media to let our residents know what we're working on, what we're prioritizing, and have it be a two-way street where they can also communicate with the office and let us know exactly what their concerns are and how we can assist them with those concerns. So it goes without saying that we will also be having town hall meetings in order to discuss progress that we will be undertaking in terms of some of the priorities that we will have for the year, as well as listening to their concerns. That way, we can make sure that everybody feels that their voice is being heard and that they truly have a voice in Sacramento. Thank you.
Mr. Oliva?
Thank you. I think it's very important for our next assembly member to be seen, right? And that is not looking backwards, but as far as what we should expect from our next assembly member. And this next assembly member should know the intimate needs of Imperial County. Like the need for border traffic guards in Calexico because of all the border crossing traffic that happens every day, right? And that it's currently on the backs of the city of Calexico when it's a regional problem. It's about knowing the infrastructure needs and the needs to improve bridges and roads in Nyland, in Ocotillo, in Sealy, in Calipatria, especially because we're talking a lot about how Lithium Valley is going to change Imperial County. But there are needs for infrastructure improvements in a lot of these areas. It's about knowing that there is currently a mining project that seeks to disturb the religious site for our Pachani Indian brothers and sisters in Fort Yuma, right? It is about understanding the veteran needs here in Imperial County and knowing that the veterans that have to seek care have to travel over the mountain and go to La Jolla to see the VA, right? Our next assembly member needs to have shown that they have been present to hear these stories and to understand the needs of the communities to that level, if not more. Right? We would love to see a veterans village here in Imperial County. And those are the messages that we're receiving from veterans, right? And that's the words that I have heard over the course of my career, having worked for Congressman Juan Vargas, for currently working for Congressman Raul Reese, right? For having worked in the state assembly as a fellow. And so it is important that the assembly member is present, is seen, because that is the way, aside from holding the office and expressing your voice, being present and being seen allows every resident to approach their assembly member and express themselves and give feedback. And the assembly member needs to be someone that you feel that you can approach to give that feedback. So part of that also means hosting office hours. Office hours that is not only hosted at the largest communities in Imperial County, but it is being present in our outlying communities and understanding that these outlying communities struggle with access to transit. And it may not be as easy for them to get to you as it would be for you to be present in their communities, making it easier. And so I think that it is important as far as being held accountable as remembering that this position is about representing you. Thank you.
Mr. Rodriguez?
The equal distribution of time. Not only does our county need an assembly member that is present and knows our issues, it's important to spread the word. So as a liaison for Tucson Tribe for many years, they don't know who their assembly member is. Let's change that. I'm gonna change that. They need help, they need attention, they need our love and respect. Next thing I'm gonna touch on is assembly member is one person. I think it's important to strategically select a district representative or multiple district representatives that know their areas. We got Emmett, we can have a good representative of Emmett, with Needles, with Blight. It's important to have a district rep that knows the community. And as I said, strategically select the district rep that is not doing it as a job, that is doing it as a platform, as a training platform. I want to be a district rep, I just haven't got to know. Select the right person, the right people, because essentially they're extensions of our assemblymen. Regarding engaging with community members, meaningful conversations, I've had hundreds, maybe thousands of communication contacts with community members, as I stated, from Winter Haven to Pike to Thermal. That's where my job sends me. Meaningful conversations, and I've been in some crisis situations. Majority of my conversations have been in crisis, difficult situations, and I've learned through all that when you're genuine, when you're your true self, people feel that. People respond to it. That concludes my answer.
Mr. Freeman?
Well, I think, again, I think it's important to understand we have to show up. Why we're all here. That's why all 5 of us are here. I want to thank everybody for showing up. That's what it's about. You have to show up. That's first and foremost. But then also you have to build a good team. Right? And I think our current assembly member has shown that. I know people in the city of Coachella in that area saying, you live in a very, you live in a set. He's out here a lot, but he understands that he has that in his home. So he needs to make sure that he focuses on the areas, and that's what we do. At our school board, again, it's that same concept. My trustee area is the city of Coachella, but you will just as much see me out in West Shores, Desert Mirage, Oasis, North Shore, all the other areas, because we're responsible for all of them. So I have done that all my career. I love meeting with people, and that would be just a continuation of doing that here. Again, part of what I would love to do, first day out, obviously, we're already meeting with a lot of people. We have some knowledge. Again, we're not going to be arrogant enough to say that I know everything that's going on in the program. It's like, people don't know everything that's going on in the Utah Valley. So I believe that sitting and listening and talking to people, and talking to the electeds, obviously talking to them, talking to the nonprofit groups, talking to the healthcare groups, talking to the promotoras. I learn more from promotoras than I learn from everyone. They're kind of like, they know everything that's happening in the community. So you have to break it down. A lot of my conversations at the school district are not simply with the community groups, the established community groups. They're with parents who just say, hey, can you come and meet with 4 or 5 of us? Yeah, let's go. And again, my colleagues allow all of us to be able to do that. We have that way of doing it in our community. If I go into Oasis and there's somebody else that represents that area, they don't get mad. They say, yeah, come on, let's go meet with them. That's how you do it. You build that trust. And again, it would be arrogant for me to come and say, well, I'm going to tell you what you need. No, I want to meet with each individual, as I have started to do, and meet with you and you need to tell me what you need and how I can help. My job is not to come and tell you how I'm going to save all your lives. You guys know what you need. My job is to help you get it. My job is to make your lives easier, give you and your kids a better life, more opportunities, just make it a little easier for you. Most of us, you give us an opportunity, most people, most parents, they'll get the job done. They just need that opportunity. They need help. And I think we need help from the state, we need help from the feds, we need help from local, everybody working together. That's the only way it works. Because if you're at a crossroads, you're fighting over here, you're fighting over there. So again, I would do what I'm doing now, meet with everybody, make myself available, and I will be present. And that's how you do it. I believe that's how it's done.
Mr. Freeman?
As a mayor and council member in the city of Indio, which is the largest city in Assembly District 36, I use a slogan, and it's called Boots on the Ground. And if you look at my record, you go to my social media and my website, you will see I would challenge any of the elected officials in Riverside County and Imperial County for being boots on the ground, because I believe that, I take pride in that. And when I say boots on the ground, that's meeting with the grandmothers and the grandfathers. That's meeting with the different clubs, the different political clubs, the nonprofits, the faith-based community, to see what I need to go to Sacramento and advocate for you for. Because the reality of it is, I'm not going to come to El Centro and build affordable housing. I'm not going to come to Hebert and build a bridge, but what I need to know is what the board of supervisors is working on. So we're working cohesively to go advocate for funds, so I could bring those funds back to the supervisors, I could bring those funds back to the elected officials in Imperial, all the way into Calipatria and Nyland. And so that's how it's done. You have to be boots on the ground. You have to be available. You have to have an open door policy. Now, as an assembly member, you will have offices in Imperial County, and you will have an office in Coachella Valley, but there's no INT. So you have to empower your team to be out there with their boots on the ground, doing your work and representing you with values and ethics, and also taking those values and ethics that are represented in Imperial County and Riverside County up to Sacramento, because we have to lead that way. We have to lead by example. And that's what I've been able to do. If you search my social media, it looks like I've been campaigning for 5 years. I haven't. I just haven't stopped, and I believe in that. And when it's my time to move on, I'll move on for somebody that's more energetic and has that goal. But for right now, that's what I believe in. I believe in having those meetings, having town halls, being open to any conversation, even if I'm not the popular one in the room. Sometimes that might happen because you might have to make decisions that are unpopular, but you have to do that. Also, you have to be not only with your electeds, but you got to meet your constituents where they're comfortable. Not everyone's comfortable going to a council meeting. They could be a bit intimidating. So you might have to go to a church. I've been at career days at Dogwood Elementary School. I've been at career days at Sunflower. I've been at career days at Desmond Rogers High School, Indio High School, Palm Desert High School. I've been a mentor. I also work for a nonprofit, or part of a nonprofit called Ron Cleveland Foundation, where we work with people who are marginalized, in particular, incarcerated inmates. I've worked at the prison, in the prison system for 22 years. And what happens is when you have 4 institutions inside of your district, you have to understand how to operate in and out of the institution. Now, I will give credit where credit is due. Our assembly member, Garcia, has worked to provide educational systems within those institutions. However, what happens when the families move out here and those fellows get out? They need people to provide wraparound services for them as well as the community. So it's about collaboration, not only with the community, but their constituents as well.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. We'll move on to our third question. We'll begin with Mr. Oliva. Assembly Member Eduardo Garcia, hailing from Coachella Valley, has set a commendable precedent in advocating for both Coachella and Imperial Valleys. As we move forward, how do you plan to continue and enhance this legacy of bridging the gap between the 2 regions? What specific strategies will you implement to ensure that both valleys receive equal attention and resources, fostering a sense of unity and mutual progress while addressing their unique needs and challenges? Mr. Lee?
Yes, thank you. For the last 12 years, I have had the pleasure and honor to serve in different agencies and capacities that have allowed me to work on behalf of the Coachella Valley as well as in Imperial County, as well as having family both in Indio, in Coachella Valley, and here as well. There are more similarities between Imperial County and Coachella than we have differences. And really the message and the vision that we need to remember is that there are more things that bring us together than what separates us. Unfortunately, if we're not careful, there is that opportunity when we begin to fight amongst ourselves on resources, on priorities, on projects, to where we see each other as competitors for appropriations, for grant funding, and for investment, when that really isn't the case. So what we need to do is have a leader that is going to be the liaison between the 2 valleys. And by liaison, meaning that you understand the story of Coachella Valley and you can bring it to Imperial County and share the realities of Coachella Valley so that it can be appreciated here in Imperial County, and vice versa. Bring the stories, the struggles, the history of Imperial County to the residents and be that liaison amongst the 2 communities so that we can see each other as brothers and sisters, not as stepchildren fighting for the same piece of pie. So I think that if we work together, we can achieve more. And we have seen that recently with some of the projects that I've had the pleasure of working with, such as the Tech Hub application. to the Economic Development Administration at the federal level in my day job, which brought together labor, elected officials, academia, universities, private industries to collaborate together to apply for a tech hub designation from the federal government as it relates to battery manufacturing, lithium valley, workforce development, creating a pipeline so that we can, at some point in the future, be able to have academies in our high schools to prepare our youth for the jobs and the careers that we expect to have in the years to come. Aside from that, there's also the recompete grant that we applied for the federal government, again, a coalition in order to bring infrastructure monies to our north end here in Carroll County and south end of Riverside County. So specifically, the focus here should be for the regions to work together for workforce development, for economic development, for empowering our youth and preparing them for the jobs of the future, and being able to work together to addressing solvency restoration and mitigation.
Thank you, Mr. Aguilar. Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank you. So I would like to humbly kind of disagree with that statement regarding our current assembly member. I mean that with respect, though. I mean no disrespect. I don't agree with that statement fully. So I think it's important to acknowledge, be real with the community, be real with you guys, and discuss the divide. We are divided. So as I stated, we are divided. Coachella and Pearl Valley divided politically. I'm sure you see it, these wild pages online. We're divided. And not only is Coachella Valley and Pearl Valley divided, and Pearl Valley is divided. Why isn't Pearl Valley divided? We all know the answer to that. AD36. We're all divided. It's going to take someone with charisma, someone who speaks to the community members, speaks with community leaders with respect. None of this wishy-washy stuff, with respect. Stand by your words. Be genuine. That's how we're going to be united. It's a day one priority for me. I'm already envisioning it. Day one priority. We need to unite our communities. And one of the connections, unfortunately, that I see that we share with Hemed, with Indio, is the triangle. I describe it as a triangle. I need help articulating this. It's a triangle. I've seen this in police. I've seen this as a social worker, this triangle of this issue that we all share. And it's a triangle of mental health, homelessness, and substance abuse. We share that connection. That's a priority for me to address. By addressing that, it's essentially going to help Life, help Indio, help all these communities with that issue, that triangle issue, those three topics that we all share and struggle with. And lastly, utilizing our resources, our connections, right? Our connections, our school board connections, uniting our school boards, uniting our board of supervisors, uniting our city councils, and also having a good relationship, a working relationship, a mutual respect relationship with our senator and our congressman. When was the last time our community has seen pictures with our assembly member, with our congressman? We're going to change that. We're going to change that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cleveland?
Obviously, the original question was how do we reach the divide and support both valleys, and actually there's 4 areas. It's not just Coachella Valley, Imperial Valley, it's the Palo Verde Valley, San Bernardino County portion of the district. So it's a huge district, and again, it goes back to you have to show up, you have to make the effort, you have to be there, you have to listen. And again, I would respectfully disagree, I guess. I think the assembly members did a great job showing up. Here in Imperial Valley, shows up to the stuff over there, and he shows up to the things that aren't expected. He'll show up to a tournament in a school just because. No photo op, no nothing, it's just because, and I think that's always important. You need to show up, not because you have a crowd there, you need to show up just because. And I've done that throughout my career, and again, bringing people together. You know, again, I like to think that I have a broader coalition, especially in the Coachella Valley, where others haven't. Maybe it's because I'm a little bit older than some of the people here, and I've kind of gotten past that, burn the bridge down, get more likes and all that kind of stuff, and I realized, you gotta get the job done, right? We're here to get a job done. We take our job seriously, we don't take ourselves too seriously. When they attack you on social media, my son called me and get off like that. And I'm like, yeah, okay. You can't control what people do. All you can control is how you respond. And you respond by getting to work and getting the job done. That's what we do. That's what parents do. That's what adults do. And that's how you get it done. And so, again, my commitment to the Imperial Valley, to the Coachella Valley, to Palo Verde Valley, to San Bernardino and all the regions, is that we're going to show up. It's a large region. We will be. Remembering that the assembly member is going to be in Sacramento, normally from Monday to Thursday. You have to start scheduling, put a good team together at the local level that maintain and listen to all the issues. And when we need to be there, show up. You alternate, you try to find a way. Sometimes you're gonna have to go somewhere unexpectedly because something happens, and that's okay. You know, but again, it goes back to you need to meet with everyone. You know, I get it, you need to meet with the electeds. I respect that, I'm an elected myself. But again, I learn more from promotoras sometimes than I do from electeds. And that's no disrespect. It's like going to to our schools. I learn more from the secretary that sits in the front than I learn from the principal. It's just the way it works. You have to talk to the people who are on the ground, on the front line, and understand these issues as well. And then you work with the electeds to craft the message. A lot of our greatest achievements, I like to think, in our school district came from parents, came from community people who just didn't know how to put it together. And with the thanks of my colleagues, we got together, we refined it, and we put it into practice. Bringing in more programs to our schools, different things for our kids. And so I think that's how you get it done. And again, it goes back to, you gotta show up. You can't worry about the little stuff. People are calling you names. You just gotta get to it.
Thank you. Mr. Freeman? Mr. Furman?
Yes. You know, I want to tell a little story. I'm the youngest of 3 boys in a single mother home. We had a little studio apartment in India. And every now and then, boys fought. And one time, I remember my oldest brother and I, and we were the same size. He was about 4 years older than me. But we were about the same size. My mom took one of her shirts and she put that one shirt on both of us, and she put both of our heads through the same hole and made us sit there until we made peace with each other. I think that's the analogy I like to use because that t-shirt represents a lot of the challenges that we all go through. So you have to find that common ground between the counties and the regions. And there are challenges. There are different things that Riverside County and that side of the district may not need assistance with. But we all can recognize there's different challenges in both those places. And let's talk about homelessness. We both have challenges with homelessness. What have we done in the city of Indio? We made sure we funded our nonprofit organizations that provide wraparound services, housing and transitional housing for our homelessness. We funded the missions so they could feed our homeless folks. And we also provided those services and supported those services that help usher folks to get off the streets, because we know there's a difference between homelessness and there's a difference between housing and loving. Some folks don't want assistance. And that's what we've been able to do in the city of Indio by deploying a quality of life team through our police department, where we got a grant. And we also have a behavioral health therapist that goes out with them who can diagnose those folks who are suffering from mental challenges on the street. We've also worked with the community to open a behavioral health clinic in Indio where we could treat those folks and get them back to be productive members of society and return to their families. Because a lot of folks travel from other places and they come to our communities and we are left with the burden of taking care of them. So that's one of the common things that we have to understand that we have in Imperial County and we have in Indio. The other is substance abuse, in particular fentanyl. I don't know how many times I've heard my constituents lose family members through overdoses. and it's in Imperial County, and it's also Riverside County. That's something we have to really focus on. Lastly, housing and youth empowerment. We have to reach those young generations and teach them the right morals and ethics so we can continue to bridge those gaps. So finding those common grounds is something we need to do. Working inside of the state prison, what you understand is you have to utilize your resources. So when I worked in investigations, my resources were those officers on the yards. So I need to reach out to them to figure out what we need to work on. So that's something as an assembly member, I may not be there all the time, but my team is there, because we have to understand, as an assembly member, you're busy, but you're often praised in public for what you practice in private, and it'll be on paper when we do that when I'm in Sacramento.
Mr. Garcia?
I agree with a lot that was said today. I do believe that while our district is large and it covers a large swath of land with many different people, however, if you look at the core of our populations, there are far more similarities than differences. The things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, families trying to support themselves, get through the day and move on to try to have some betterment for their children and their children after them. You know, that's something that rings true. It's the American dream. We all try to prosper the best that we can. And it's up to an elected official to look at not just the issues of where he's from, but the issues that encompass the area that he wishes to represent. If he wants to be a voice for the people, then you need to get out there and speak to the people. You need to find out what the issues are that are plaguing them. And yes, we have a lot of similar issues. I've had the privilege of serving as a district director for Imperial County and the League of California Cities for several years now. And the elected officials from all the different municipalities in California get together and we discuss these very issues, because they're not issues just in our cities, not just in our counties. We're dealing with the same issues statewide, like homelessness has been brought up, like substance abuse, which is directly linked to the homeless issue. It's causing mental health problems in people because of the self-induced psychosis that they suffer because of abusing these narcotics on a daily basis. All of these have to be taken into account, and we have to have a measured response in terms of not only the solution that fits best for our city, but looking at the strategies that other cities have enacted in order to help with their issues. Because if we can learn from working with all of our cities together, we can tackle these large problems. But these problems are the same that plague us whether we live in Raleigh, El Centro, Indio, Los Angeles, or San Francisco. These are California problems that I've had the privilege of being in the room, having the strategy sessions on how other municipalities are dealing with these issues. And there's been a lot of movement lately that is looking at this problem of homelessness as a multi-tiered problem. It's not just an issue of building houses. Some people do not want help. Some people are accustomed to this cyclical life of being addicted to narcotics. And that causes some mental health issues. And that's something that needs to be addressed for all of our communities to prosper. But that's just one of the issues that unites us that we all have to deal with. But there's also the job opportunities and education, making sure our public safety is supported. These are all issues that we can all
Mr.
get
Garcia,
behind.
your time is up. Thank you, gentlemen. This next question, we will begin with Mr. Rodriguez. After COVID-19, hospitals and healthcare districts throughout California have experienced financial constraints, leading to the disruption of services and the closure of hospitals, like the Madera Community Hospital. Pioneers Memorial Healthcare District, El Centro Regional Medical Center, and Heffernan Memorial Healthcare District have all faced similar challenges, which led to Assemblymember Eduardo Garcia writing AB 918, which sought to establish a county-wide healthcare district across Imperial County. Could you share your insights on AB 918 and the current healthcare challenges in our district. Additionally, what further legislative measures would you propose in the State Assembly to strengthen healthcare accessibility and resilience in our district and across California? Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
So again, my response may give me some trouble, I may not make it a this response, but my community, again, I have I'm born and raised in Raleigh, was born in PNH. I serve in Central, utilize Central Regional for work. That's where my family goes. So I have a foot in each hospital. And one of the issues that I had that I brought up to Eddie, Mr. Garcia, is the community's issues with the lack of transparency and accountability. So that lack of transparency begins with what happened to El Central Region. And again, I mean this with all due respect. I'm not poking at anyone. What happened to the community, to the Central Regional Medical Center? I still don't have an answer. I've attended, I like to consider myself an educated person. I still can't have a fair answer. The issue with that is we don't want to see another downfall. We don't want to see Central fall. Accountability. Community wanted accountability. Who should we hold accountable? I don't have a clear answer. The council that was on the Central Regional Board, the Central Regional Elected Board, should we hold them accountable? Community wants accountability to ensure that this does not happen again. Day two, uniting our community. There is a divide. There is a divide between Raleigh and Central, and this divide, I believe, was created by individuals. I don't think this divide was created in politics. It was created by individuals. It's going to take someone charismatic, someone authentic to reunite Central and Raleigh. For a great purpose. The great purpose is long-term health care for our children. Not egos, for our children. Very simple. Community wants sustainable hospitals that make sense, that will serve the children. Policy, never having closed door meetings. Never having closed door meetings. That ends with me. You will not have closed door meetings. Thank you.
Certainly.
Well, I've had a few discussions with the assembly member on this, and we went through a similar thing with Coachella Valley where we expanded the healthcare district valley-wide. It was only in the west side, we expanded the valley-wide. With this legislation and the initiative and vote. And it wasn't easy. And your situation's a lot different, probably a lot more serious in some things. But I think legislation provides a framework to get it done. I was fortunate enough to sit in one of the meetings not too long ago. And you know, there's still a lot of what are we going to do, how are we going to do it? But what I did see was a dedicated group of people who I believe, and I like to think best of people, that at their core, they want to do what's best for the people in this community. They want to make sure that the hospital stays open. They want to make sure that people have the healthcare, access to healthcare that they need. And again, this is a vehicle, but I believe that the people in Imperial County, with the help of the assembly member, with the help of the congressman, with the help of the county, the help of everyone, can solve this issue. This is your issue. And we are not here to point fingers or to tell you, but to help you. Because at the end of the day, you know, it may be a simplistic way of looking at things. When the house is on fire, no, we're even starting the fire and worried about putting it out. And I think that's, right now, what's the most important thing. How we get accountability is important. We need to not repeat the mistakes of the past or whatever happened. But again, at the moment we're at now, it's important for stability, to make sure that the services stay connected to the community, that they have access to the healthcare, to the hospitals, and to everything. Look, I work for Medicare. We got hit with some of that as well. We had to do a lot of things as well. We were in a good position that we were able to withstand a lot of the things that we had. And so I think, again, that legislation is not the be all end all. It's just a framework to help everybody get together and work through this issue. And there's going to be some growing pains, and there's going to be some, well, I don't like this and I don't like that. It comes back to the people that I saw in that room. And again, some of them I don't know well, but I like to think the best of people. I believe were there with the dedication and in their heart to solve this problem for the people of Imperial County. So an assembly member my job is not to go in there and point and do. My job is to help with whatever resources we need. Be that financial resources, be that political resources, be legislative resources. That's going to be our job. And again, we're talking about ways that we need to sustain our healthcare system. You know, the Medi-Cal reimbursement is a big issue that I think we need to continue to work on. Those are things that help everyone, help the community, help the nonprofits, especially. Imperial County relies on the nonprofits for healthcare. So those are some of the things that I would work with.
Mr. Furman?
I appreciate this question. I spend a lot of time at the hospitals working with my relationships here in Imperial County. I just have to be blunt about this. I'm sick and tired of my friends having to fly to San Diego to get medical care. I'm tired of them having to fly to Palm Springs to go to the trauma unit. As an assembly member, I'm going to advocate for the proper funding that will give the people who are doing the work now in these districts to have the proper facilities to serve this community. The other thing is, we really need to shore up our educational system so we can bring back our talent to the Imperial County. We have the same issues that happen in Indio. Folks go off to school, they become doctors, they become lawyers, they become professionals, and they don't come back. We need to provide pipelines for them to come back and work at our hospitals. And we need to fund Pioneers Medical and Imperial Medical Hospital. Like I said, I spent a lot of time at those hospitals, and of course they could be better, but there's folks right now who are pushing those efforts forward that we need to listen to. There is some disagreements, but I think that's where we collaborate and work with our congressmen, our senators, our board of supervisors to figure out what is the positive moving forward. How can we get somewhere moving forward positively where we can serve our community? So sometimes we have to go in a room and put our differences aside and understand we have to get back to doing the people's work. And the people's work is providing substantial, good, sustainable healthcare to the Imperial County. And also, we have to fund youth and pediatric medical. We also have to fund our seniors. We have a big senior population in the Coachella Valley as well as in Imperial County. And if you look around, I'm starting to climb that age myself. So we also have to look at that. So we also don't have to find the services and resources we have to bring to the Imperial County, but we also have to work with our leaders and our community members and our nonprofits to make sure our hospitals are funded and that we have the talent coming back to work in the hospitals.
Mr. Garcia?
I'm sorry.
Please proceed.
And one thing that I would support and I would ask our folks who are in the medical district to look at, as we move forward and we start to diversify this economy here, we need to look at a general fund for the Imperial County that will fund some of this stuff. If we're going to be the gold mine of this country with lithium, if we usher it right, the dollars need to stay here. So that has to go to education and then also has to go to healthcare.
Thank you, Mr. Furman. Mr. Garcia?
Yes, thank you. AB 918 gave us a very unique opportunity to make a generational change in how healthcare will be utilized in this valley for all of us. There's just no truer statement. It has created the Imperial Valley Healthcare District, in that taking over Pioneer and Heffernan. Now, the last piece of that is for ECRMC to be acquired, thereby uniting both of our hospitals in Raleigh and Los Central under one banner, and more importantly, one license. This will give us the opportunity where we are no longer competitors with ourselves because our hospitals are so close to each other. We are no longer competitors for workforce. We are no longer competitors for supplies. And more importantly, it will unite us in receiving those valuable percentages of repayment from Medi-Cal and Medicare. That is something that we need. That is something that we desperately must accomplish if we want to have sustainable hospitals here for our children and our children's children. This is not something that is just happening in our community. Madera Hospital has closed to heartbreaking results. And we see many hospitals that are undergoing the same financial difficulty and are shuttering their doors across the country. That is not sustainable for Imperial Valley. We should have affordable, sustainable healthcare, and this is the clear path to accomplish that goal. Once we stop competing with each other, once we no longer have clinics in Calexico facing each other, offering the same services, going after the same patients, we will accomplish this goal. Once we can compartmentalize our services to provide the best access for our community, we will accomplish this goal. And with that, with the money that we will save and the higher percentage that we get paid by being under one license, we will be able to advocate to the state to show that this model is working successfully. And we will be able to work on legislation to forgive the Affordable Hospital Distress Loan Fund. We will be able to ask for more funds, for more access to doctors, specialties, and hopefully one day to be able to have our own trauma unit within the borders of our county. Thank you.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank you. For the last 2 years, I've been able to serve on the El Centro Regional Medical Center Board of Trustees. At the very beginning, it only took myself and Mayor Celia Marroquin 3 months to recognize that there were serious financial situations happening at the hospital. We just finished an audit that shows that there were decisions made in 2021 that exacerbated the financial situation of ECRMC. Aside from that, COVID just accelerated the issues that were already existing here in Imperial County. AB 918 is essentially just a product of 20 years of plus effort of wanting to unify the healthcare facilities and the healthcare districts in Imperial County. It was tried multiple times, and it failed because of local personalities and the local politics. That is the truth. And what that was doing was putting every single resident in Imperial County at risk that either one hospital was going to fail and just inundate another hospital, or that both hospitals were going to fail. So the spirit behind AB 918 was to say that this issue is bigger than our local egos, it is bigger than the parochialism within Imperial County, and it was about sustainability of our healthcare systems. And that is widely accepted from economists, from healthcare experts, studies that were done by UC San Diego Health in 2018 and in 2020. So what did this do? What this bill does in bringing us together we're talking about shared services. We're talking about higher reimbursement rates for Medi-Cal, Medicare. Cost savings to the institutions instead of duplicative services. And it'll essentially provide a better healthcare system for all of us. The issues that we have here are outpatient migration. We have services that don't exist here, and so if you're in need of specialty care, you have to go to San Diego, or you go to Eisenhower, or you go to Mexico, or you go to Arizona. There is a serious need for acute care clinicians in Imperial County. After speaking with the CEO of BCRMC and the CEO of UCSD Health, they've expressed to me that they have limitations on their residency and their medical students of being able to be placed in rural healthcare hospitals. So if given the opportunity, I would love to be able to introduce legislation that would expand the resources and expand the opportunities for medical schools to be able to send their medical students to rural healthcare facilities to address the recruitment and retention of these clinicians so that they can be placed here, grow here, and stay here. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on to our fifth question, we will begin with Mr. Acuña. Imperial County is said to contain enough raw material to support the growing demand of lithium in the United States and nearly 30% of the world's demand. State and federal officials, one being California Governor Gavin Newsom, have traveled to Imperial County, stating that our region will become a hub for global innovation. With private entities confirming the construction of the first commercial lithium plant could begin as soon as 2024, what is your perspective on the state's goal to phase out gasoline-powered vehicles by 2035? And how will you ensure our region's increasingly critical resources are extracted in an equitable manner? Mr. Acuña?
Well, I think I think the issue always is in the details. All this investment coming in, and I know some areas it's already been done, we need to make sure those resources stay here. But if they can't get out, resources have to come back. And we have to come back to those communities that are impacted by the areas. The North End, the Patria, the county as a whole, right? I mean, I joked earlier with someone else that there was a meeting one time, they know the some guy from Palm Springs said, hey, well, what do we get? And people are like, you're over there, you don't get nothing. I mean, it belongs to the people where they're doing the digging, so to speak. But I think the issue with lithium is a larger issue as well. I think it's an issue of energy and resources that Imperial is uniquely situated for. The geothermal, the other things that can happen out here. The state has a procurement process that they're going to be for power, for energy, and the geothermals can be that one step that keeps it going all the time. It doesn't go away, it doesn't come in spurts. Something that can be sustainable for Imperial County. And again, we always have to be careful. We need to work with our brothers and sisters in labor to make sure that those jobs are good, union-paying jobs with benefits. Again, being the son of someone who is a union man, I have a unique perspective. I never had to worry about healthcare growing up. And that's something that we all should do, not just me. Everybody should have that. So these jobs that are coming in. But again, it's also going to take, collaborative work from the people in Imperial County, from the elected officials to plan it out. Where does it go? How do we all work together? Let's just not throw it and throw it up against the wall and see what happens. It has to be very planned. And I know a lot of that is happening currently. A lot of those issues are already on the way. But again, it's going to take someone in the assembly to, again, protect and secure those resources for Imperial Valley. Because again, when they all start coming out here, it's easy to get run over. So you're gonna need someone that'll stand up to them. And again, it's gonna take a lot of, what do you need from us? You guys, Imperial Valley can stand up for itself, but our job is to help you and have it back. And that's something that I believe I will do. We can do it together. But again, Imperial County is uniquely situated for a lot of what's going to happen in the future of California and probably other areas as well. with our proximity to the border, with our proximity to Arizona. I think it's a catalyst that can create a new economy, good jobs. The issue of people wanting to stay, well, if they have jobs here, they're gonna come back to the valley and stay. So it's the long term. You know, sometimes the suffering is the short term, but you look at the long term gains. And I think that's what lithium and energy and Imperial County can do for us.
Mr. Furman?
I appreciate the question because if you look at all the questions that we've been asked now, there's a direct correlation to all of them that are leading up to the Lithium Valley, and we have one more after this. Well, this is very important because this gives Imperial County the opportunity to really shore up the funds and fund programs and infrastructure and things that we need in this county. For one, there needs to be an educational component about this. I think we need to do a better job of educating the public what Lithium Valley is and what are the effects or adverse or non-adverse effects. I know there's some concerns about lithium being extracted. It's not a mining fluid, it's being extracted differently. So we really need to educate the public as well. And when this industry does grow, there's going to be more people out here. So that would exacerbate some of the issues we have here with infrastructure, with healthcare, and with our facilities, because there will be more families out here as well. There will be more children. So we need to understand that there's going to be a direct correlation with that. We also need to provide programs and work with the SDSU and IBC that they have programs to start to usher our youth into those programs, into the workforce, because there's going to be an implementation phase. And if you work in local government, you may make policy today, but there's always an implementation phase where you're going to go through some challenges. They will bring people here to work here, but as Imperial County, we need to start fostering those programs so we can provide the workforce here. I do agree with the governor's initiative and our president's initiative of clean climate and reducing our carbon footprint and taking those vehicles off the road, those gas and fossil fuel vehicles off the road by 2035. But as I speak with the implementation phase, how many of us in here right now have energy vehicles? Not too many, a couple, right? So it's going to be an implementation phase. We need more charging ports. And how do we do that? We also need to work with IID, and that's something that I've been able to do in Indio. We formed the Coachella Valley Energy Commission, where we've been able to form a JPA to fund our infrastructure in Indio. And we have more charging ports than any other city in the Coachella Valley. So we have to understand, you just don't get electric vehicles and bring them to the Imperial Valley or any other region. You have to have the power and the energy infrastructure to power those vehicles. If you remember recently, we were just told not to plug them in because our grid was restrained. So we need to work with IID to make sure that they can fund energy and still recognize that we can't put the burden of raising energy costs on our folks as well. And so we have to work with them. And also, we talk about diversifying our economy. We also have to recognize what economy has already been here for us and that has supported the Imperial Valley, and that's agriculture. So how does agriculture play into this? So we have to shore up our ag as well, because ag is also supported us. So we also need those jobs. So what it boils down to, the dollars have to stay here. We are going to work with folks who are going to come here and bring this industry here, but we need education opportunities, economic opportunities for our community.
Mr. Garcia?
Yes, thank you. You know, in all of my travels and discussions throughout the state and even across the country, when you're asked where you're from and you tell them El Centro, a lot of times you get a blank stare in response. We don't have a lot of national attention until now. You tell them Lithium Valley, and people have heard about it. It's been on the news, it's been on the news cycle, the governor's talking about it, because it's very, very important. The Lawrence Berkeley National Lab just conducted a study that was adopted by the Department of Energy, where they estimated that we have 3,400 kilotons of lithium suspended in the brine at the Salton Sea. That's enough to make 375 million car batteries. It is a game-changing industry. And it is something that we are just absolutely blessed to have in our county. But it's going to take a lot more than just having the resource here. It's going to take a smart enactment of a plan to not only use those resources for the betterment of our community, but also to incentivize the companies that come out here to not just look at Imperial County as a place that has lithium, but as a place where they can continue with the lithium industry, where they can refine it, where they can build batteries. That will necessitate that they build infrastructure, that they invest in our communities, that they invest in our schools, they invest in housing, they invest in healthcare, they invest in everything that we use on a day-to-day basis, because we will welcome them with open arms to be part of this community. This is the chance for change for this valley in terms of bringing this gigantic opportunity to bear. And it's going to take cooperation with all of our local electeds and tireless work at the state level to make sure that we have these opportunities here, so we can build here, so we can foster growth here, and so that we can benefit all of the residents here. Now, lithium is not the only issue that we're dealing with right now. It's a great opportunity that will come to fruition in the next several years. But we have the geothermal that's associated with it. That's also going to need resources. And we also have to make sure that we protect our precious agriculture. That's what we're known for, and we feed people across the country with our agriculture here. So it's going to be working with these companies to make sure that they extract the lithium, but also have minimal impact to our environment, minimal impact to the surrounding communities, and that they invest in the individual infrastructure so we can see our communities in Nyland and Calapat grow, so people can live close to where they work. This will bring about more homes, more schools, and more resources for all of us. And that's the most important part of Lithium Valley. Thank you.
Mr. Oliva?
Thank you. I think the 2035 goals of the state is very ambitious. But even then, specifically here in Imperial County, it just seems unlikely because of our current rate. We currently lack the infrastructure to sustain these goals here in Imperial County. We don't have charging stations enough for even just personal vehicles, but let alone the fleet vehicles that are going to be required for schools, for IID, for municipalities, right? For our police departments, for our fire departments. And so what does all that mean for us? The way that I try to describe it is that there is a gasoline era, there's a hybrid era, and then there's a full electric vehicle era. We are currently in a hybrid era. And that is because any person that is thinking about purchasing an electric vehicle is going to have range anxiety. They're going to know that it's going to take an hour to charge the vehicle, and it's going to take you maybe 300 miles. So you're going to have to plan your trip to LA, Coachella, to elsewhere, and you're going to have to plan where you're going to stop, right? So there's still a need for the technology to meet these goals that is going to make you as comfortable as it is to just fill up your gas tank and to know that you're going to go as far, right? So that is why the infrastructure is still needed, and the technology within batteries and the range is still needed. And maybe the answer is solid state battery. But what we need to do is still get there so that we can finally live in what the state's goal really just kind of encompasses, which is for us to live in a full electric vehicle era, where each of you feels that you can charge your vehicle in 15 minutes or less, and that you can make it a reasonable distance. So that means infrastructure, that means charging stations, that means investment in our utility companies in order to bulk up our substations, in order to reinvest in transmission lines, as well as the base load and have the electricity needed for these additional requirements, for these additional electric vehicles, electric stoves, electric water heaters, and electric dryers, right? So lithium recovery in Imperial County is unique. It's unique because it's recovered from the geothermal brine. And that is unique in Imperial County than anywhere else in the world. And the reason for that is because it's a closed loop system. Lithium is recovered in a way that it is the least impactful to our environment. Which means, per the technology, it is the safest way to recover lithium as opposed to mining it from the mountain. So what does equity mean in terms of lithium value? Equity means investment into the community surrounding Lithium Valley. That means Bombay Beach, Naili, Calipate, right? Salton City. Equity means investment in Salton Sea restoration and mitigation. And there's the extraction tax that addresses that specifically. But equity also means that the community is providing this lithium that is eventually going to go into batteries that are then eventually going to go into electric vehicles, can actually afford those same vehicles. And those are the plans and the policies that I plan to support and move forward if given the opportunity.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, thank you, and I just want to commend fellow candidates, great responses. I mean that, I truly mean that. I'm gonna go a different route as you guys know me by now, my responses, go a different route. So I want to make a declaration to these companies, these guests, Warren Buffett's company, the Berkshire Hathaway, I don't know how to pronounce it. Lithium is ours. Lithium is ours. That is ours. So advocate, as an assembly member, advocate for clear oversight of safe and sustainable extraction. Distribute the funds, profits, taxes appropriately. Save our underserved, undereducated communities that surround the Salton Sea. It's going to increase opportunities for our cities, it's going to increase opportunities for our school districts, our housing development. I want Warren Buffett to take a part in saving our community. We need help. Cars. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a working class social worker. I do not make a lot of money. So with that said, I cannot afford a $50,000 electric vehicle. I saw the price, I looked at them last week. So 43,000 plus taxes, 50,000. I cannot afford that. Implementing that in 10 years, a blink of an eye, we all know, as parents, we all know, a blink of an eye, 10 years. You're gonna take away our vehicles? Is there gonna be opportunities for public transportation? Has that been discussed? Has it? You're going to add financial burden to the people that are already struggling. People like me, people like you. Let's be realistic with this mandate. We need federal grants, incentives, help. We need state, federal grants and incentives to help people like me purchase, people like us purchase these electric vehicles. Thank you.
Thank you. So as you can see, our timer isn't working, and so we'll be taking time. We'll move on to our final question of the evening, and we will begin with Mr. Furman. Considering California's proactive stance and the recent federal funding towards the Salton Sea restoration, what is your vision for the state's ongoing role in this crucial endeavor? How will you ensure that the state continues to lead and effectively integrate these new federal resources to address the Salton Sea's environmental and public health challenges? Additionally, what new initiatives or policies do you believe are necessary at the state level to complement and enhance these efforts? for long-term sustainability and community well-being. Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, and I appreciate that question. You know, I've heard in the media from some of our elected officials that Imperial Valley is known for unemployment, some of those challenges, but now you hear Salt Sea and you hear Lithium Valley. Well, you know what? If you're gonna come here and you want to produce lithium in this valley, you also need to aid in restoration of the Salt Sea. Right now, it's an emergency. As we sit here right now, the Salt Sea is receding. And once it recedes, those air particles are getting in the air. And they travel to the Coachella Valley, they travel to Arizona, they travel to San Diego. I can ask everyone in here by show of hands, how many of us know someone in Imperial County, in Riverside County, who suffers from respiratory issues? I think we all understand that our youth has the highest numbers of asthma than any other region in our state and probably in our country. So this is something that's urgent. We need to continue to invest in education of the Salt Sea. We need to pick up the baton right now of some of the efforts that are already happening. As an assembly member, I cannot and I will not go to Sacramento and try to hit the reset button. We don't have time for that. So right now, there's efforts going on. There's been recently 220 million that was invested towards the Salt Sea restoration. We need to ensure that those funds are utilized properly. No more studies. People are dying. No more studies. We need to ensure that those dollars that are being produced by some of the industries that will be coming here go into the Salt Sea. And I tell you why. If we don't, we talked about healthcare, we talked about our hospital infrastructure. That's going to suffer because there's going to be more people here. We talked about education. That will suffer because there will be more people here. And the reason why is because of the air pollution. And so we need the proper oversight of what's being done here with the Salt Sea. We also need to continue to work with our folks, such as our board of supervisors on both counties and all the stakeholders in the Salt Sea. The Salt Sea encompasses both counties, a lot of property owners, so a lot of tribes. So we need collaborative efforts between our supervisors, our congressmen, and our senator to ensure that we are up to par and we're moving forward with the Salt Sea restoration, because if we don't, more people are going to suffer. This is an environmental justice issue right now. And if you're going to come here to the Imperial County and fund and produce lithium and bring more people, bring more vehicles, if the lithium is going to be transported out of here, you're going to bring more air pollution, right? So we need to create a sustainable environment as it pertains to the Salt Sea, our air quality, and our water in Imperial County, and also shore up our power infrastructure in Imperial County.
Thank you, Mr. Furman. Mr. Garcia.
Yes, thank you. The Salton Sea area, in terms of its environmental impact to our community, is at a crisis level. It has been at a crisis level for some time. The receding of the Salton Sea has exposed the toxic climate, which gets blown around our valley and other surrounding areas. This has caused our asthma rates among our youth to skyrocket compared to other areas in the country. This is a crisis because the plans of action that have been taken, the studies that have been completed, have all led to reasonable solutions on how to mitigate it. Where we have been lacking has been in expedited action. That is what we need. We need to act on these things right now. And it's a complicated issue. We need to mitigate the environmental challenges that we have with the area. We need to manage the water that is going into the Salton Sea in order to prevent any further toxic climate from being exposed. We need to mitigate the pollutants that are coming into the Salton Sea from the New River, which there's a new landmark project in Calexico that should be assisting with that. There is other solutions in terms of building habitable marshlands surrounding the Salton Sea area in order to bring more birds and fauna, in order to use our natural ecosystem to filter some of the pollutants in that area. But it's going to come down to water. Water is going to be the most important resource, and we need to fight with Sacramento to make sure that we have enough of our precious resource going into the Salton Sea to prevent any future erosion and any further exposing of this toxic playa that is essentially carrying heavy metals and poison into our children's lungs. That is the biggest issue that we will be dealing with for years to come. It is something that needs immediate action. We need all of our stakeholders because it truly will affect all of us. There was a recent article that came out that said if a large portion of the Salton Sea were further recede and this toxic playa would expose, it would essentially make Imperial Valley uninhabitable. No more agriculture. Nobody else will live here. That is how serious the problem is. So we need to get federal funding, we need to get state funding, work in cohesion with our local elected officials and stakeholders, because it will not just impact the areas surrounding the Salton Sea, it will impact all of Imperial Valley, Coachella Valley, and it will go as far as Arizona and San Diego.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Mr. Oliva.
Yes, thank you. I believe that the state has a primary role in addressing the restoration and mitigation of the Salton Sea. That was the deal that was made at the very beginning due to the quantification settlement agreement when we started transferring water to other parts of the state. The state had promised that they were going to address the impacts of the Salton Sea. But the state can't do it alone. You have to leverage the partnership with the federal government, right? And in recent years, we have said, right, if we give credit, the state has invested hundreds of millions of dollars for Salton Sea mitigation and restoration. And just recently has leveraged federal monies as well. Congressman Raul Reese was successful in incorporating into the Inflation Reduction Act $250 million specifically for the Salton Sea. Earlier this month, the Biden-Harris administration just released $72 million of that 250. 70 million is going to go to animal habitat restoration, and 2 million has gone to the Torres Martinez tribe to address their impacts as it relates to the Salton Sea. So that in itself is already a partnership, and there's more investment and need of resource to come. But the plan, as far as how we address the Salton Sea, comes from local stakeholders. That was also the deal. When I used to work for then Assemblymember B. Manuel Perez, he introduced legislation that created this plan that it was going to come from the ground up. And that is why we have agencies and partnerships like the Salton Sea Authority that adopt the backbone projects that address dust calming, that address animal habitat restoration, that address exposed playa, and the 10-year long-range plan that we are trying to fund. And so the next assembly member needs to be able to speak in Sacramento to continue that investment to ensuring that these projects are finished, finalized. And the reason for that is it's not just for the animal habitat, it's not just for the economic development, but for those of us that have taken the time and had the opportunity to visit the communities of Salton City, Bombay Beach, the children that go to school have to call their parents because they have nosebleeds. There are children in the surrounding communities of the Salton Sea that have skin rashes. This is a very serious public health crisis for the people that live around the Salton Sea. And so us being able to accomplish these projects, finish them as quickly as possible, it's not just about the animals. Yes, we love the animals. It's not just for the additional lithium. It is about human life. It is about quality of life. And as mentioned before, Imperial County shares that sentiment. We are tired of all these studies, and we want to see action. And so that is my plan, given the opportunity to represent you in Sacramento, to ensure that we're addressing this as a public health crisis and looking after our residents in Imperial County, as well as the residents that live in Mecca, Hermal, and Warships.
Thank you, Mr. Oliva. Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes, I also want to commend my candidates for their responses. Kind of agree, never thought I'd say that. New River, you know, you say the Salton Sea, I see the New River. Why do I see the New River? Because the New River is polluting the Salton Sea. Ask the question, and again, I mean no disrespect. Ask the question to Senator Member AD. Would Coachella Valley, Indio, with any of those golf courses, except a sewage river from another country flowing through their golf courses, the way we have one flowing through Rio Bend, the way we have one flowing through Brawley, Del Rio Country Club, right? The Coachella Valley except Indio. No, I don't think they would, right? They wouldn't, so why do we accept that? Why do we, generation after generation, why do we continue to accept that? Is it because we have representatives that aren't from this area, that aren't connected to this area, that aren't running in Catacall Arena during flooding time and seeing the entire grass area flooded with New River water? Do you guys remember that? I remember that. How many of you guys have played, or your children have played? Do you know that that entire grass area was flooded with New River water? We accept that? Why do we accept that? I don't accept that. Okay? It stops. And I think it stops by declaring the New River a state of emergency. The way David Alvarez did in San Diego with the Tijuana River pollution. He did it. He brought attention, he brought federal attention, and he's producing results. Follow him, and you'll see what he's doing. I admire that what he did. I'm gonna copy what he did. Give him, you know, his brownie points that we can do that. And that has been my goal since I've been a child. Stop this pollution that's destroying our beautiful Salton Sea. We get millions. We get millions. I saw those checks. We get those millions of dollars. We get studies. We don't get results. Prove me wrong. We do not get results. So how do we stop that? Let's try a different approach. The way Alvarez did. Stand up in Sacramento, literally stand up with community members like yourself. Stand up in Sacramento and tell them, we have a problem. We will no longer accept this health crisis, destroying our communities, flowing through our golf courses, destroying our Salton Sea, affecting us all. Yes, the Salton Sea issue does affect me. I have asthma. It stops. We need results.
Thank you,
Not
Mr.
photo ops.
Rodriguez.
Thank you.
Mr. Antonio?
But again, the Salton Sea has been an issue since I was a kid. Saving the Salton Sea, it's not about saving the Salton Sea, it's about saving us. Actually, we're the ones that need the saving. You know, having a school, high school and an elementary school sitting out of the West Shores area, we're unique understanding of what happens with the students out there, with the families, and the kids. And again, I think, you know, the assembly member, the congressman, give him his due, has brought resources. It's about implementation now. And I know some of those programs have already started, some of those projects have already started. A couple of the candidates indicated some of those projects. The New River project is starting, but again, the issue with the New River is how to stop it on that side of the border, because that's where it starts. Otherwise, we're going to be setting up a system that's going to cost us hundreds of millions of dollars going on. It has to be, again, cooperation. We work with the Mexican government, we have to work with our government to do that. Part of that will be federal, but part of that will be state. The state has good cooperating agreements with some of the areas that we're talking about. But in general, again, I think it's truly about implementation. Now, the money is there, not all of it. And in the future, when the next bond comes out, you're going to need an assembly member who can work with other assembly members up there, who can put that coalition together to bring those resources out here to the valley, to bring them down here, to make those connections, to work with people who don't know where, you know, Calipatria is, don't know where Keeper is, don't know where all these communities are, but point to their communities and say, you have the same kind of communities in your districts. You just have different names. We have, West Shores, Burrard School District. We have North Shore, we have Oasis, we have Mecca. We have all these little communities as well that we need to protect and we need to save, just as Imperial County. So again, when the next bond comes, we're gonna need an assembly member, and we've kind of forgotten, there's also a state senator that represents this area. We need to bring him in as well and say, we all gotta work together on some of these issues, because you're gonna need to build that coalition. And again, I believe I'm the person that can put those coalitions together. Proven in the past, I'm not afraid to stand up, fight for what's right. But again, you don't need to burn down the bridge to fight for what's right. You can do it in a way that you can work with people and not simply make them enemies because they have a difference of opinion. You have to be able to work together with everyone. And again, Salton Sea, the water issues, complicated issues as well. We all need to work together on that. And again, more importantly, again, they're mentioned as an afterthought, but the tribes have to be a partner with all of this. The tribes are a valuable source for that restoration as well. And working with them, they have to be included. And not just included by name, but by deed, by action as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Queen. All right, gentlemen, we're done with the Q&A. Breather. A little warm up here. We will now proceed with our closing statements. You will each have 2 minutes to provide a closing statement, and we will begin with Mr. Furman. The timer, I have the timer now. The timer will start when you begin speaking. Mr. Furman?
Okay, once again, I want to reiterate my gratitude for the Imperial Valley Democrats for inviting us out for this forum. I want to thank everyone for being here in attendance. It is an honor and a privilege to have the opportunity to represent people that I love. I love this community just as I love the Coachella Valley. There's a saying that a story goes with it. It's called "Lift Where You Stand." It's about men coming together to lift a piano, and they couldn't lift it. So one of them says, "You guys need to come together, stand together, and lift where you stand." We all need to do that. It's going to be a collaborative approach. Right now, we're in a transformative time in Imperial County to do some really good things. I have the experience of doing that in Indio. Indio has 95,000 people. The last 5 years, I've shored up the education with expansion of higher education. I shored up and hired police officers and fire officers and built a new police department and fire station in Indio. I supported broadband expansion. Is something that we need in Imperial County if we want more business and opportunities here. We also need to bring dollars here, and we also need to work on our homelessness problems that we have in both areas. I have experience doing that as I sit on boards and on boots on the ground. If we walk out of here right now and go to my car, I have a trash grabber and I have trash bags I keep in my car. I just don't drive by trash. I'll stop and pick it up. That's what I mean by boots on the ground. And at the end of the day, we all need to focus on the Salt Sea and Lithium Valley. I think everything and all questions that were before us today have a direct correlation. If we don't fix the Salt Sea, if we don't usher in the Lithium Valley correctly, it's going to hurt our quality of life. And we can't afford that here. So I ask you for your support. And I also ask you to fact check everything I said. Please go to my Facebook, Indio Mayor Wayne Furman at Facebook, or go to my Instagram, and you can see the work that I've done in Indio, and I hope I have an opportunity to do it here. Thank you.
Mr. Garcia?
Thank you again for this wonderful opportunity. I'd like to thank all the candidates for joining me here today. I'd like to thank again the Imperial County Democrats for putting on this forum. It's important that we all get out here and listen to the ideas. We've discussed a litany of issues that we're currently facing, and that it will be important for our assembly member to address in Sacramento and work collaboratively with elected officials here in Imperial County and Coachella Valley and Blythe, Thurman, all the other areas encompassed in this great district. I have had the unique privilege of advocating for thousands of families throughout my professional career statewide. It has been a privilege to take their message and to help them accomplish their goals and to help them with whatever issues they struggle with. I followed my professional career with an active political career in the town that I chose to call home and raise my children. I've been honored and proud to serve on the El Centro City Council now for 8 years, going on 9. And the amount of change that I've seen the city undertake during this brief time of public service has just been fascinating to see a community come together and identify their wants and their needs and to work actively to make those happen. I've been proud to be their voice. I have been proud to see the change in them when they get involved. And I think that it is important for a democratic process for all of us to get involved. That's why I'm asking for your support to be your assembly member in Sacramento, to continue to do what I've dedicated my life to, which is advocate for others, to address the issues
Thank you,
that they
Mr.
have in their
Garcia.
families. And that's what I'm asking. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Oviedo?
Yes, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to have been able to share my views, my plans with you all. I thank my colleagues up here for also participating in this event, and thank you for the Democratic Central Committee for hosting. I am running because I am a product of this community. And I have spent 10+ years of my career in public service. And that public service is both in Coachella Valleys as well as in Imperial County. I have worked on behalf of our families at both the local, all 3 local, state, and federal levels. Aside from that career path, I'm also an adjunct professor at Imperial Valley College. And what's very special to me is that I don't just teach traditional students. My students are inmates at Centinela and California State Prison. And so it has been a pleasure to be able to help them achieve a college degree and be able to work towards credit that reduces their sentence. The reason why I mention it is because one of the lessons that I learned from my students teaching political science is that they say, we are looking for a candidate that not only is better prepared than us, better informed, but shares our values, right? I believe I am that candidate. And that is why I am here running, and I ask for your support, and I ask for your vote on March 5th.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank you.
So I just want to quickly thank the community for being here on such short notice, packed room. I'm not the most articulate candidate up here. I'm not the most educated. I'm not. One thing that I can say that I am the most like you, every single one. Just a working class dude, a working class dad that wanted to make a difference in my community. I've helped thousands of families in times of crisis. I rose from the generational issues that our community faces. I know these issues intimately. I'm proud of them. I rose from them. I didn't get to say this earlier. Policy, advocating policy, supportive of our children. Children are our future. We need to be mindful of what future we're leaving for them. Policy supportive of our seniors. We love our seniors. Our seniors need attention. They need healthcare. Policy supportive of our education. We need to protect the LCFF. We need to protect our special education students. We need to protect our autism support for students. And lastly, our public safety. Not only do our community need protection, our police officers need protection. And I thank you guys for your time. Visit ericpersonally.org for more details on my information, on my candidacy, my campaign. I'm very transparent. This is what you get. Thank you.
Mr. Evans?
Well, once again, I want to thank colleagues up here. It's not easy running for office. Most have held public office, so they are, kind of on a smaller scale. This is a larger scale. I also want to thank you for, again, coming out. You could have been doing something else with your family, so I appreciate you taking the time and just coming to listen to us. Again, you will never hear me say I did something or I did something or I did something, because I did it. I work with my colleagues, I work across the board with everyone to get things done, and that's the only way we're going to get things done. We will work in Sacramento with the colleagues that are up there, we will work with you in this community, we will work in all the communities. Because I believe that's the only way to get things done. And again, don't get bogged down in the who's over here, who's more famous on Facebook, and none of that kind of stuff. Get the job done. Take our work seriously, and take ourselves too seriously. And that is my commitment to this community and to all communities in this campaign. Again, I believe the experience that I've had over the years with my public service and my community service situates me well in my job as a school board member, working in healthcare, and also working with the tribes on economic development and infrastructure issues. Again, are uniquely things that I believe are unique to me that will help me get that goal. And at the end of the day, you got to show up. And that is what I do, commit to show up, to make sure we have a team that listens. And again, not only shows up for the photo op, but shows up just because it's the right thing to do. So again, I think everyone else up here, I would ask for your support in the March primary, and thank you very much for taking the time to listen to all of us.
On behalf of the Imperial County Democrats and the residents within this community, thank you to each one of you, to our candidates, for your willingness to step forward and volunteer for this position. It has been an honor to serve you in this capacity this evening. I'd also like to take a moment to thank the Prestige Event Center, more specifically to Mr. Jason Hissel and his staff, for all that you have done to make this event possible. As a reminder, primary election day is March 5th. For those in attendance this evening, please remind your family, friends, and neighbors about the importance of casting their vote. I wish each and every one of you the best of luck as you finish this race strong. And now it's appropriate to thank these individuals. Thank you, everyone, and have a safe trip.